I'm looking like a delicious vanilla ice cream cone with this on. Anyways, hey everyone, welcome to the Mind of Ro page. So I am Ifa Titilayo Oba Jaguna. Basically what that means is my names mean Ifa brings me everlasting happiness. And I've been crowned Obatala Ayo Jaguna. So please, when you shoot me a message or respond to any of my videos, just be very humble when you respond to me. Because you gotta kind of act like you're talking to a Obatala. So if I know a lot of people like to respond to some of my videos and comment and stuff. If you don't agree with some of the stuff I'm about to talk about, because I'm about to get into toxic spirituality. If you don't agree, it's okay to just say you don't agree. We could talk about some things and we could chit chat. There's no need to cuss and freak out and flip out on certain things. We could just have an adult conversation. Let's practice emotional intelligence. So kamusta, Hotep, Alafia, Aloha, and Ola. Holla! Welcome to my page, everybody. So today I'm going to talk about 10 signs you are dealing with toxic spirituality. The last video I made was based off of the Akashic records and the 4 sons of Heru, who is Horus. So before I get started, if you like my videos, please subscribe to my YouTube channel at mindofro and hit that notification bell. And I also have a TikTok, Instagram, Twitter at mindofro, and I also have a business Facebook page at the Mind of Ro. That is not this page, it's another page. So go ahead and like my other Facebook page. Show me some support, share my videos. But before I get started on this toxic spiritual video, I'm going to say some prayers to the Netter and to my ancestors to protect my video from toxic spiritualists. You could copy this and paste it all you want and say this when you make videos or whenever you want to do anything that's in the public eye. It's up to you. This is what I do because these are the specific deities that I work with. So if you want to copy, paste, or write down whatever I'm saying, you are more than free to do it as well. So before I get started, let's shed some light and bless this video. Sorava povo da pra povo da kumanda iba sheari. All my supportive ancestors, all my ancestral protective gede obatala, gede nimbo papa legba, oshun, ogun, ochosi, alegba, eshu, shango, yemaya, aje, oya, orumala, pampa jera, rosa caviera, tata caviera, se palintra, all these kwambanda exus that protect me through my eshu odara, Ankh ucha seneb dua tep, twamatef and neath, happy and nephthis, quam senef and circuit, steady and offset, sobek and pu, ra, sikr, asar, geb, hurakhuti, ma'at, sekmet, heteru, nut, haru. I give thanks and praise to the ancestors, all the Exus and Pampajiras, Orishas, and Neteru for protecting my energy through this video. Negate death, negate sickness, negate legal problems, negate loss, negate obstacles, negate overwhelming conditions, negate gossip. All negative energy attempted to be thrown at me through this video will suffer consequences. Return to sender, return to sender, return to sender. I practice good character, therefore only good characters are allowed to come to me. Ashe, ashe, ashe. So, if you like what I said, those are actually just names of deities to help protect my energy and my light and my peace. You are more than welcome to use that as well for yourself to protect your energy and your peace whenever you want to. So let's move on. 10 signs you are dealing with toxic spirituality. Number 1 is toxic positivity. What that basically means is faking happiness. I know a lot of us have heard the whole fake it till you make it concept, but basically what that is putting yourself in denial, and it puts yourself in the act and energy of resistance. So, for example, if your auntie passes away, not saying it's going to happen, knock on wood, but if it was to happen, if you practice toxic positivity, you're going to tell yourself, oh, I can't cry, or I can't say anything negative about my feelings, or that means I'm not conscious. That's not good for us, because what it's doing is it's denying our own feelings. Our feelings were given to us from God, from source. We are allowed to feel. Toxic positivity becomes toxic when we are denying actual facts. If something horrible is happening to your neighbor, you can't just say, oh, well, I just got to think positive thoughts and it'll go away. That's not realistic. If somebody's in need and in help, you got to move your butt. You got to make it happen. You got to help the situation, not only for yourself, but for others if that point comes. Toxic positivity basically teaches us to ignore concepts that might feel negative and being in denial of it when it happens. And doing so could actually make us implode or cause us to be very self-sabotaging because we are denying our own feelings. So this is why toxic positivity is number one. If you feel a type of way, it's okay to admit that you feel that way. We got to be real with ourselves. That's a number one step to healing toxic positivity, is to be real with ourselves and be real about whatever situation is happening. Number two is fear mongering. I'm sure a lot of you who follow my page know exactly what fear mongering is, because churches love to do it. Abusive spouses like to do it. The news loves to do it. The media loves to do it. We're dealing with it everywhere we look all the time, is fear mongering. Fear is the lowest vibration in the emotional scale. If you were to go on Google and actually look up the energy of fear compared to hope, happiness, even anger, fear is the lowest vibration. Therefore, fear is used to control people. If you control the masses due to fear, you're basically controlling everything. You're controlling the money they spend and all that kind of stuff. So the number one way to heal from fear mongering is basically don't be fearful and learn how to set boundaries. Setting boundaries basically means if you feel like you're all constantly feeling fearful by watching the news, or every single time you sign online and you're seeing everybody else throwing all kinds of things at you about you're going to die from this, or this is going to happen, or that's going to happen. And then every single time you sign online, you see all this stuff popping up on your wall and you feel fearful, then setting a healthy boundary basically can mean either getting offline, stop reading mentally traumatizing blogs, stop reading mentally traumatizing newspapers or magazines, or turn off the TV and stop watching it on the news. It doesn't mean that you're in denial of it. It basically means you're not allowing fear-mongering control you. Fear-mongering is the number one way we have been controlled for centuries and centuries and centuries. And the reason why the planet is where it's at now is because we are allowing people to fear-monger us. So setting healthy boundaries not only allows us to turn off the TV and close a magazine and tell ourselves to stop reading blogs or stop listening to podcasts that's going to cause fear in us, but it also has to do with our personal relationships with other people. If you're around people who are constantly fearful all the time, that are telling you these things, or telling you that you need to be scared of this or scared of that, probably not the best people for you to be associating with. Not saying that you should be mean to these people. I'm just saying that maybe sometimes you just got to shut people out. It's better for you, because being in fear all the time doesn't serve any party involved. It doesn't serve us, and it doesn't serve anybody else if we are the one who's fear-mongering the other person. We gotta work on that kind of stuff. Number three is the concept. This has actually been pretty major in the New Age, in the New Age spiritualism, is you're never supposed to show anger. I've heard it multiple times of people saying, oh, well, if you ever show anger, if you ever show sadness, or if you ever show an inch of emotion, you're not conscious or you're not enlightened. God gave us emotions. God gave us feelings to let us know if something is not right. If you're angry about something, it is because something is making you angry. If you're sad about something, it is because something needs to be released through tears. You have a right to feel emotional. You have a right to cry. You have a right to be angry. You have a right to feel. So this is one really toxic spiritual practice, is the illusion that you're not supposed to feel anything. You're not a zombie. You're not dead. God gave you the emotions. The universe gave you the emotions. Therefore, it's not okay for us to take it out on a random person passing by you. You can't just go yell at somebody out the car because you're mad because your spouse made you angry. Yes, if you do that, that actually does mean you're not practicing conscious practices. Yes, that is very toxic to behave that way. But it does not mean to ignore your emotions and to shut it down, because that's the opposite. And what that basically means is another concept of denying thyself, because to know yourself is to not deny yourself. That means if you're feeling a type of way, that is actually a key to let you know something needs to be recognized, something needs to be owned, and something needs to be spoken on. So when we resist that, we're holding it in. That'll cause us to blow up at some random person at the store or at your spouse because somebody pissed you off at work, because you're not releasing it in a healthy manner. So next toxic spiritual belief is that we think meditation, rituals, positive thoughts, or manifestation techniques, stones, or herbs is going to heal all our problems in our physical life, in our physical realm. And this is not true. So I am a certified meditation instructor, and according to my studies and according to my practice, when I meditate, I use meditation as a technique to help me move forward in life. I don't use it to take place of my life. Basically, what that means is if we're using spiritual practice to help us, we can't expect it to fix everything. What we're doing is we're using chants, and we're using herbs, or we're using stones, teas, positive affirmations, meditation techniques, or just meditating in general to help us change the frequency within ourselves, so we have the energy to actively change what's happening in our physical realm. I'm going to tell you a little cute story really quick so you could have a higher understanding of what I mean by that. So there's a story of a man who kept going through to this cave, and in this cave he had a giant statue of a god that he worshipped. And he went there every single day and he prayed, please God, let me win the lottery. Every single day he went for multiple days. Let's say he went there for a month. Every single day he prayed for hours and hours and hours and begged and begged and begged, please let me win the lottery. And he started to get angry and saying, why won't I win the lottery? I'll honor you and I praise you every single day and I give you offers every day, but you won't let me win the lottery. Why is this? Eventually, finally, the statue came to life and turned around and said, because you're not playing the lottery. So basically what that's saying is you can't sit here and pray and hope for everything and meditate and buy stones and herbs and eat all these healthy foods and not exercise, for example. You can't expect a job to fall in your lap and not apply for jobs. You can't explain money to fall in your lap and you're not doing anything that makes money. Basically what this means is we have to align our spiritual practices with our physical self as well, which means if we're going to be doing third eye or crown chakra practices, we need to be actively doing things that physically grounds us here, which is associated with our sacral and our root chakra. Basically, it's balance. We can't just expect all spiritual practices to fix all of our problems. It's unrealistic. We have to actively do it in the physical plane because that is where we're at. So it's okay to use spiritual practices to help us in the physical plane, but we have to actively live in the physical plane and make it happen in the physical realm as well. So number 5 is blaming the universe or blaming any non-physical being on your actions. This is very typical for people to say, oh, the devil made me do it. This is a new popular statement people say is, oh, I'm doing it because my ancestors lived through me. Or I'm acting this way because my horoscope, I'm a Taurus, I'm allowed to act that way. Basically what that's doing is not taking accountability. We got to take accountability. Yes, Tauruses have specific characteristics. Yes, the planet is aligned a specific way. Yes, we have ancestors that live through us. Yes, we have Orishas and Neteru that could affect our energy if we work with them a lot, etc., etc., etc. But we cannot point blame at spirits, at our ancestors, and at the alignment of the planets on why we behave the way we do. It's called practicing free will. We have to take accountability for every action we take. All these connections that we have with the universe, yes, we are all connected, but we still need to admit to ourselves and take accountability that we have free will to behave any way we please, to act any way we please. Sorry about that, my phone's tripping. We need to take accountability for any way that we act, any way we live, and every choice that we make in our life, we need to take accountability for it. We can't keep blaming the devil, blaming the alignment of the planets, or blaming our sign. I'm an Aries, or I'm a Scorpio or whatever. We got to take accountability for that. That's actually one major toxic habit that in the spiritual realm or spiritual practices that I've noticed that people do. Number one, healing for that is taking accountability. And that's a good thing, because once you take accountability, you take control of your life, man. You got to take your life, take control of that. It's very empowering when we learn to say, hey, this is me, this is my life, it belongs to me. It's a very empowering thought. When we play victim to our circumstance, we lose our power. So let's get our power back and take accountability for our actions, our life, and our own energy that we make the choice to dwell in. Number 6 is limiting others' access to spirit for money. I'm sure you've seen this a lot with the church. So I'm going to give you a little highlight of history. So according to history, the history of the ancient Commissions, basically, so there's different ages of time. When the golden ages fell, the reason why it fell was because they traded the concept of weighing your heart to the lightness of the feather of Ma'at, to weighing your money to the feather of Ma'at. So the weighing of your money and using the concept of money to be allowed to speak to or work with spirit came from the concept of dogma. So we have to learn to be good people. And this is not only in the church. I've seen it in people who try to sell readings and try to fake read people and try to just basically play games with people and tell them all this stuff's going to happen to you and blah, 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 and you have to pay me to do this to keep it from happening, or all this, or trying to give people very vague readings and then charging people for it. Like telling somebody, oh, you have a job and you have a manager that you don't like, and oh, you have goals in your dreams and you want to live a better, everybody wants a better life and everybody wants more money, and people are making money off this shit. That's basically the concept of selling spirit or limiting spirit, basically saying, oh, you can't talk to spirit unless I charge you, or unless you pay me to teach you how to speak to spirit. I understand that yes, there are classes that will teach you how to speak to spirit, but does it mean you have to do it? No. Does it mean you have to go to a priest or a church or whoever to work with spirit? No, you don't. Spirit speaks to everybody. Everybody, no matter what race you are, everyone is connected to spirit. Everyone has a third eye. Therefore, if anybody tells you you can't speak to spirit unless you pay me money, they are practicing dogma. And what they're doing is basically trying to control your access to spirit, which is what this whole planet is covered in. And the reason why a lot of people are disconnected from spirit is because of that exact reason right there. Next number is number 7, is to think your religion, your ways, or your practices is better than everybody else's. So, I'm sure we dealt with a lot of being attacked. A lot of you who follow me are very conscious and understand the concept of religion has controlled our society and whatnot. But something that I've realized is this concept of dogmatic thinking has reached the spiritual realm as well. It's reached indigenous practice as well. And personally, I don't believe that dogma should be anywhere. I am a universalist, and I'm not saying what I believe is law, but according to my personal morals and values, this is what I think. I'm not saying you have to follow this, is that everyone has their own separate purpose. Everyone isn't supposed to follow the same thing. Maybe some people are supposed to be Christian. Maybe some people are supposed to come here and they're supposed to be believers and not knowers. Maybe that's just where their soul is at. Maybe we shouldn't be throwing our pearls to swine because all they're going to do is stomp on it. Maybe some people are supposed to be practicing Ifa. Maybe some people are supposed to be in touch with their Native American practices. Maybe some people are supposed to be in touch with their Polynesian practices. Maybe some people are supposed to be practicing Kemetic ways. It's okay to admit that everyone's purpose is different. What is good for you is great for you. It's your identity and it's your soul. That's great, but it doesn't mean everybody else has to practice your way either. And that also goes within your specific practice. For example, I practice a lot of Kemetic stuff. Does it mean that my way has to be everybody else's way who practices ancient Kemet practices? No, absolutely not. What works for me is what works for me. And it's okay if somebody else does something similar and does it different. If it works for them, it works for them. There's nothing wrong with that. We start to get very imbalanced within ourselves when we get stuck in this illusion that our way is the only way and everybody else who lives any life similar to ours has to be just our way. And if it's not our way, then we feel like we need to persecute them. That's not healthy. It's not healthy for anybody involved. It's not healthy for ourselves because that puts us in a feeling of resistance to what is. And then one of the biggest sins is trying to control somebody else's free will. Biggest sin is to control somebody else. Therefore, when we're trying to control another person and their will, we are putting ourselves in resistance within our own energy, and that causes imbalances within ourself. So we shouldn't be acting that way or treating other people that way. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not perfect. I went through my own phases to where I got to a toxic point, because when I started realizing I was being lied to from this and the media and religion and all that, I turned into a toxic person and I felt like my way was the best way for everybody. And that's not okay. Even if we are enlightened, even if we do know more than the next person, even if we are aware that dogma or the church is suppressive or white supremacy is suppressive and or whatever, even if we are aware of this, it does not give us the right to try to control other people's beliefs, because it wouldn't make us any better. And it makes us bitter inside. And I know that because I've lived it myself. I was that person for a little bit where I got really bitter about how everything is controlling us and blah, blah, blah. And then it made me so bitter that I felt like everybody has to be spiritual and everybody has to believe what I believe and blah, blah, blah. And I hate everybody who doesn't believe and everybody who follows suppressive religions. And that made me miserable. That made me feel wrong inside. So from my experience, that's an act of resistance. It's not okay it doesn't matter what you follow, it doesn't matter what you believe. It's not okay for us to push it on everybody else. That's a strong one right there. Now, a lot of people are dealing with that. These are a lot of major situations that's going on across the globe right now. I am really happy I'm making this video. I hope this is helping people, because a lot of this is going on right now, not only with religious groups, but non-religious groups and spiritual groups and indigenous practices as well. We have to be careful trying to bring dogmatic practices into spiritual or indigenous practices. We were supposed to be freeing ourselves, not imprisoning ourselves, not going from one practice and then bringing that imprisoning mindset into the next practice. That would defeat the purpose of knowing thyself and freeing thyself from concrete concepts. So the next one is number 8, is everyone is a reflection of you. Now, don't get this confused with the concept of we reflect ourselves onto other people. This is a different concept. So when we reflect ourselves onto other people, which is one toxic thing, is when we are not healed in specific moments that we went through in our life, traumatic moments, we tend to reflect it onto other people. Like, for example, if we're bitter about white supremacy, we're going to reflect it onto anybody else that we see who is light-skinned. Or if we're not healed from an ex-boyfriend, for example, we're going to reflect that bitter and angerness on anybody who might remind us of that person, for example, or ex-girlfriend or whatever. And this is what it means to reflect our issues onto other people. Or if we have a set belief system, as in I'm going to go back to the last step we were just talking about. If we have a set belief that everybody should think the way we do, and everybody should follow the religion that we follow, and everybody should follow the practice that we practice, and we bump into somebody or meet somebody who does not align with that belief, we're going to reflect our issues onto that person and pick fights with them. That doesn't serve us, and that doesn't just serve the next person. But when I say everyone is a reflection of you, that's not really what I'm saying. In the New Age spiritual group, there's a saying where that's been all memes and all kinds of blogs and images going around saying everyone is a reflection of myself. This becomes toxic when you actually believe that you are the center of the universe. That is a very narcissistic, godlike concept. What that basically means is I am the god of my own life, therefore whatever I do and whatever I say doesn't affect anybody else unless I reflect it to affect anybody else. Basically what this means is people are running around on this planet who believe that everything is a reflection of their self, as in everything they see and everybody they run into is a reflection of their self. Basically what that is, that creates sociopaths, and it creates psychotic or basically psychos was what that creates. And they hide it underneath the illusion that, oh, I'm spiritually conscious and I know that I am God and God lives within me. Therefore, everybody else and everything is a reflection in me. And these type of people have no respect for boundaries whatsoever. What they do is they create chaos amongst other people's lives, and they feel like they have to not reap any consequences out of it because everyone is a reflection of their self. These people are very toxic, and we got to stay away from those people, and we have to be mindful if we are behaving that way, because we can sit there and tell ourselves that, oh, it's not, as long as I tell myself it's not affecting other people, as long as I tell myself it's not affecting me, therefore it doesn't. That's also the concept of self-denial and self-resistance. We can lie to our conscious mind all we want, every day, all day, but you cannot lie to the universe. And basically when these people believe this, they're lying to the universe, and they think that they can lie to the universe. These people who do this are suffering internally, and if you are doing it, it will make you suffer internally because your subconscious mind is not aligned with your conscious mind. There is a concept of karma and dharma, and imbalance and balance, and light and dark, and yin, yang, feminine, masculine. These are the laws of the universe. Therefore, if we try to resist the laws of the universe, like be messed up towards somebody and say, oh, well, as long as I believe they're not affected by it, they're not affected by it. People who believe this are lying to themselves. If you watch people who behave this way, they have all kinds of stuff happen in their life. They could be abusing drugs, abusing alcohol, suffer from depression, anxiety, all kinds of issues in their life, homelessness and stuff, because they're trying to deny the enlightenment in this universe and just run around and walk all over people however they want. This is very toxic. It's not healthy for them, and it's not healthy for you to associate with these people. So please don't try to save these people. If you are a person who's trying to have peace in your life, you can't save these people who behave this way. Just to stay away and just be within your own light. That's my personal advice. You can't save them. Some people are so deep in this concept and so lost in it that they need professional help. It's crazy out here, guys. It is. So my next one is, this is something that I realize that happens all over the place, whether you're spiritual or religious. You have to pick one belief and one practice only, or you're going to be confused. Personally, I practice Hermeticism, Ifa, Buddhism, Hinduism, Kumbanda, Umbanda, all kinds of stuff. I've been to Native American teepee prayer meetings, and I'm not confused. So that's just, whoever says this to you is basically thinking one-sided, and they think in a box. That's not the case. If you want to practice all kinds of practices, do you, boo. It's your life. It's your journey. It's your spirit. You could do whatever you want. Don't allow anybody else to sit there and tell you, you could only practice this and practice this only, or you're going to be confused, or something's going to come get you, or blah, 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 because then that turns into fear-mongering, and we already tapped into that conversation already. So if you want to practice more than one practice, and if you're curious in another one that might even contradict the practice that you're practicing, and your soul tells you that's what you want to do, that's your right. That is your born right to do whatever it is that you want to do. Everybody is allowed to do what they want. Don't allow any religious belief tell you that you cannot. I don't believe in that. I think that if you were to suppress yourself into one belief, what you're doing is you're basically putting a wall up to other knowledge and wisdom and enlightenment that's trying to reach you, because you're like, oh no, I can't believe that because it's not a belief. And we don't want to limit ourselves like that. The universe is eternal and limitless. Therefore, you are eternal and limitless. And we got to allow ourselves to be that as well, by allowing ourselves to be open to other beliefs and other cultures and other wisdom and other enlightenment from other things that we might not be familiar with. If it's being approached by you in your life, that means it's time for you to learn. Basically, what that means. So let's not be resistant and into being a more open-minded spiritual being. Oh, another one too is that still goes under number 10 is invalidating our oh no, that's the next one. I'm sorry, I was on number 9. Okay, so I'm on number 10, which is denying other people's spiritual experiences, or invalidating other people's experiences, or invalidating our own spiritual experiences. This is something I've been dealing with a lot in this practice. So I am a medium, and I speak to a lot of spirits. And when we are, and I've had a lot of people who's messaged me and said, hey, that I need your support because other people don't understand me. I am very understanding. If you have a spiritual experience and you have nobody to talk to, I'm very understanding, and I will not devalue you, and I will not invalidate your experience. Something that I've realized is a lot of people will have their specific experiences and learning how to work with spirits, or learning how to communicate to the other side, and they feel like whatever they experience should only be everybody else's experience. What I mean is, I've heard a lot of people say, oh no, that's not what you experienced. Oh no, that's not what you could experience. It basically sounds like a lot of children. You know, when you still with like little brats and they're like, This is what I've been hearing a lot in the spiritual group, is denying other people's experience. If somebody experiences of something so holy and spiritual, who are you or me to say they didn't experience that? You know, this is something that's been going on a lot in the spiritual realm, in the spiritual group, of denying other people's experience, or denying our own experience. Because according to the history of time, according to psychology, we're crazy for having spiritual experiences. So we devalue our experience or label ourselves as crazy if we feel like we might have seen something in the corner of our eye, or we heard a spirit giving us a message, but we're too scared to share it with anybody because they want to devalue or invalidate whatever it is whatever experience that we had. And this is a toxic habit, because I have a mindfulness group that I support, and the number one thing that I tell everybody who is in my group, that if you want to exercise your third eye, you have to trust your intuition, and you have to trust your spiritual experiences. What this means is, if you think a spirit is speaking to you, don't deny it. If you think a spirit is giving you a message, don't deny it. The less you deny it, the more powerful your spiritual experiences will be. So the more you allow yourself to believe in your spiritual experiences, the more powerful you will be, because what you're doing is you're exercising that third eye power and energy within yourself. So every single time you deny an experience, or you're denying another person's experience, you're basically denying spiritual practices. So we got to stop doing that. And it's something that I realize a lot is people will hear somebody else experience something and they're like, oh no, you can't experience that. Or they get jealous. We got to stop doing that shit. Stop being jealous if somebody else has more spiritual experiences than you. If somebody else is more spiritual than you and has like some spiritual gifts, ask them, how did they do it so you could be more powerful? We got to stop acting jealous. This is something that I realize a lot is being in this practice, that people act jealous. They're like, no, you can't experience that. Or, you have to do it this way. You have to do it my way. It's because that's called jealousy. Why are we so jealous of other people's powers? We're supposed to be united. We're supposed to be doing these things together and not fighting your neighbor. So we got to stop doing that. If we feel like we're being threatened by somebody else who has more spiritual power than us, that's something we got to work on ourselves. If we're like, oh no, this person's doing this and I don't know how to do that, they're fighting to feel threatened, that's an insecurity. And we got to work on that. That basically means that's a shadow self that needs to be worked on. Shadow self is triggers. It basically means every single time you're emotionally triggered or angry or upset about something and you can't pinpoint what it is. Like if you know consciously you have no right to be angry or upset at a specific person because of that specific person didn't specifically do something to you, then that's a trigger. That's something we got to be mindful of, that we're getting upset about somebody who's more experienced, more knowledgeable, or has experiences that we haven't experienced. We can't get mad at them for experiencing something that we didn't experience. That we should be excited, like, yay, somebody experienced something that I didn't experience. That means more experiences is happening on this planet. The more, the better, because that means the world is being more enlightened and more conscious, and that's what we need, are more experience, more spiritual experiences. So we have to stop trying to diminish or suppress other people's spiritual experiences just as much as we need to stop suppressing our own and denying our own spiritual experiences. So those are all my 10 points that I had on the top 10 toxic spirituality that personally that I've came across. If there's any more and you want me to make another video on some more toxic spiritual experiences and how to overcome them or how to rethink or see them from a different perspective, go ahead and shoot me a message and we'll talk on that. So all these actions are basically resistance to self and resistance to connection. Not only to other people, but connection to the divine web and universal understanding. So a universal concept states that spirit works through everything and everyone in ways for every individual to understand in their own way. Which means, for example, if I have one person come to me and say, oh, Michael talked to me, the angel Michael talked to me, and I see Michael as a guardian angel, for example. In my practice, we see Michael as a legba. We see him as the door opener. Does that mean that he or she is wrong for seeing Michael as a guardian? No, because these spirits and these energies work in a way to communicate to that specific soul so they understand, and so they're open to being able to get messages from whatever visual understanding and whatever level of consciousness that they're at. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's okay for us to say and admit he or she is right for seeing Michael as a guardian angel, and I am also right for seeing Michael as a legba, the door opener. Me and the other person is not wrong or right. We're both right together, and that's okay. So a lot of stuff I notice in spirituality, a lot of these concepts, these dogmatic, concrete, one-sided concepts, comes from dogma. So majority of the planet is associated with Abrahamic religion, which is the concept of dogma, which is very black and white and very like, oh, you could only this way and the only way. Therefore, anybody else who believes in something else is wrong and this and that and evil or whatever. That comes from conditioning due to dogma, due to suppression and oppression from our suppressors. So when we carry that within ourselves, we are no better than the people who are suppressing us. So we have to be mindful of that, and we have to let go of these suppressive behaviors and stop bringing dogmatic concepts and suppressive concepts into spiritual practices. It's okay to accept the fact that some people just aren't at your level. It's okay to be there. And if you feel like you're a teacher, like myself, and you feel like you're wise and you're enlightened, and you feel like somebody needs to learn something that maybe they don't know and that you know, it's okay to say, hey, this is a moment to teach. I know, I get it. I was at that point too, where I would get irritated with somebody for saying things to me that I didn't agree with and whatnot, and I would get angry and stuff. And I told myself, I'm not going to do that anymore. It's not good for me. It's not good for anybody. It's not good for my head energy. It's not good for my soul. It's not good for my aura. Therefore, I'm not going to do that. If somebody comes to me and they feel like they say something and they need some teaching, I'm going to use it as a point to teach. I'm not going to use it as a point to attack them and put them down. If you feel like somebody is less than you, then bring them up with you. If we are conscious beings and we're enlightened beings and we feel like we're very connected to spirit, we need to behave like it and we need to act like it. We need to practice what we preach. So also, I want to throw in the concept of a divided nation makes us a weaker unit. So if we're at war with ourselves, we cannot go to war against the elites. So a lot of people who follow me, a lot of people who are in touch with spirituality is because they're against the elites. So we cannot fight against a power on this planet that's much powerful than us if we're constantly fighting with our neighbors all the time. If every single time we see somebody who practices something like ourselves, then we see them as an enemy. Or every single time we see somebody who isn't practicing something like us, we always think that we're better, or we always think that they're our enemy. We're making enemies all the time. And enemies is only up to an extent. This is something that I realized is I had somebody tell me recently that you're making enemies. And this is that I realized is if we are practicing good character and if we are being good people and we are speaking our truth respectfully, let me say it again, respectfully, and somebody comes to us and attacks us, we are not making the enemies. They are making enemies of themselves. So let's not make enemies of ourselves. Let's not reflect our issues onto other people and make other people enemies because we have issues. We need to take ownership of that. We need to take ownership of making other people enemies to us because we have issues. We just have to practice good character. The more good character we practice, the more peace we have within our life. I'm not saying you have to go hug and love enemies, because when we do that, we're actually inviting toxicity into our life. We are allowed to have peace in our life. We don't have to allow toxic people into our life, but we also have to admit to ourselves that when we're being toxic, or if we are reflecting our toxicity onto others and we are creating enemies, we need to admit that as well, because what we give is what we get. So I hope you guys like my video today. The next video I'm going to make I have a couple series videos that I made. I made 2 other 7 series videos. I made one that was on meditation on balancing our chakras, and then I made another 7 series on learning how to balance our chakras while by using or asking for guidance and feeding orishas and the Netaru. So I'm going to make another 7 series, and I'm going to make a 7 series focused on meditation, on Kemetic deities. And what this is doing chants and affirmations to invoke Kemetic deities within ourselves so we could be in touch with the God and goddesses within ourselves. So look out for my next 7 series. It's going to start next week. I hope everybody is having a united night. Oh, before I go, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel at mindofro and hit that notification bell so you can be notified whenever I have more love and enlightenment to share with you. So peace, Odabo, Hotep, and Namaste.